guys, welcome back to my channel. So last night the Teen Mom Family Reunion aired, so I'm gonna give you guys a recap, give my thoughts. Last week I was unable to do a recap of last week's episode because I just had so many things going on. I was gone in the evening, 3 evenings in a row, doctor's appointments and things such as that, so I didn't get to do the recap for last week, but we are gonna pick up from where they left off. So it starts, well, it's Teen Mom Reunion, and I think the title of this one is called Farrah Diss. At the end, Farrah arrives, but it's like a cliffhanger. She arrives, hey, end of show. So this one started off with Devon and Bree. The way last week's episode ended, Devon came, Bree called him and was like, I think you should come. It gave us perfect opportunity to work on our co-parenting. So he did, he showed up, and right when the episode went off, he and Bree sat down with Cheyenne, the lifestyle coach, psychologist, sat down with her to kind of figure out what their main issues are in their problems with co-parenting. So almost immediately it got heated because Devon kind of drops a bomb, right? He's like, this whole thing has been a lie. He's like, you know, I've been perceived as like a bad dad from day one. And he brought up how the day Briana had Nova, she told the cameras that he left to go play basketball with his boys. And he was like, that never happened. He was like, I did not leave from my daughter being born. I did not leave the hospital to go play basketball with my boys. And I just need her to admit that. Let Nova know that that's not what happened. You know, she's getting older. She'll see that episode. And my daughter's going to think I left her to go play basketball. And he was like, it's been a lie. Like from day one, it was a lie. She brought up how he's like couch top from the time he was very young. And he's like, that's a lie too. He was like, I'm just tired of these lies. I want them to be straightened. And Briana kind of got a little loud. At one point he stood up and he was like, I don't care about these cameras. I want the truth. And Coach B is what they're calling her. And I don't know why, because her name is Cheyenne. But anyways, Cheyenne, the lifestyle coach, she kind of calmed Devon down. She's like, listen, calm down. We're going to let each of you guys speak. You're going to get to say how you feel, so just calm down. So that's where it ended last week. So that's where we picked back up this week. We got to see the clip of, you know, them arguing and him saying she lied. She started this whole thing out on a lie, and I don't want my daughter to think that I left her to go play basketball. I cannot talk today. I don't know what it is. So they were calmed down though when this one came back on. They're calmed down, they're talking, and Briana basically tells Devon that he didn't have a stable place for Nova, that he never really has. And she's like, you lived with your mom, you lived with your dad, it wasn't anything stable. And she says, now you have an apartment with your girlfriend, which I'm fine with, I like your girlfriend, but Nova doesn't have a room. Like, where is her space in your house? Those are things you should have been, you know, working on, and she should have a room or a bed in your house. Now, one thing that I thought about though is she said when they had Nova, Devon was living with his mom. And I'm like, of course he is. He was 16. So why is that not a stable place for Devon to bring his daughter to? She's lived with Roxanne, and she still lives with Roxanne. So I'm like, so you living with your mom in the apartment that you guys lived in, stable environment, it was fine for Stella. It didn't matter that it wasn't yours, that it was actually your mom's. That was cool. So maybe there's more to the story there. Maybe Devon has issues with his mom. Maybe his mom has some issues that made his mom's house and his dad's house not stable for Stella. I don't know, but her just saying, oh, you lived with your mom, you know, so you would bring Stella to your mom and to your dad's and it wasn't stable. I didn't really get that unless there's more to the story, because she lived with her mom at 16 years old in the apartment, and that was stability for Stella, for Nova. So also she said that he couch hopped, and you know, he didn't like that. He said that he only couch hopped for like a year until he got his crap together, but he did say that he understands where she's coming from as far as like Nova having her own space and her own room at their house. But something else that kind of caught me off guard is I was like, okay, so you guys, Briana, Brittany, and her mom just moved like 2 years ago to the place that they live in now. Before that, they lived in like a 3-bedroom apartment. So I'm sure Nova did not have her own room in that apartment. You know, maybe she did have her own bed. Maybe Briana had a bed and Nova had a bed. But she didn't have her own room. And it just got to where within the past couple of years, Briana's been able to provide a house big enough to where Nova has her own room. At least I think she has her own room in this new house. So those points where I'm like, is there more to the story here? Because it was kind of the same thing with you, Briana, that you're kind of throwing up in his face right now. But he did admit, he's like, I got a late start. I didn't just grow up when you had to. I was still kind of young, messed around. I didn't take responsibility, and I get that. Also, when she like called him out for not having a bedroom for Nova, he kind of hung his head like, okay, yeah, that's right. I guess maybe I should have thought about that. I guess when I was getting the place, maybe I should have considered my daughter having a room at my house. Cheyenne asked him, you're here for, I keep calling her Stella. She's like, you're here for Nova, right? And he says, yes, at first. He says, yes, of course, I'm here for Nova. And then he says, well, I take that back. I'm here for Briana too. He said, because I need Briana to know who I am. You know, we dated, we were young, we had a baby, we split up, and we didn't really get along. We just kind of co-parented. But Briana doesn't know who Devon is right now. She knows who Devon was when we got pregnant, not who I am right now. So I want to show her who I am. And he says that he wants Briana to see his worth, and that his passion to be a good parent is he's just as passionate to be a good parent as Briana is. Briana then tells Devon that she resents him. She resents the fact that when she had Nova, that she grew up, she had to be a parent. It was tough, but he didn't. And that she had to rely on her mother to be the person to help her and to guide her along the way, because her baby daddy didn't. So she says, I have a lot of resentment built up towards you over that. Like when I had the baby, it should have been you there helping me along the way, but it wasn't, and you were just doing your own thing. Devon, once again, kind of hangs his head in shame, and he shakes his head like, you're right, I get it. I messed up. I should have done better. Devon then talks about how his bond with Nova is not as strong as he would like it to be. They cover, other things like Nova doesn't go to you with issues because she is scared to disappoint you. She's scared to hurt your feelings. Like if she don't want to go, she's too scared to call you and tell you like, oh, no, not this weekend, Dad, because she don't want to hurt your feelings. Things like that. And he's like, my bond with her is not what I would like it to be. He does make a promise though. He tells Briana that he's going to do better. He's going to make Nova more of a priority, thinking about these things, the room, making sure that he doesn't say he's going to get her one weekend and not show up, because that leaves an impression on your child. When you say multiple times, I'm coming, and then you don't, the child remembers that. It bothers them. So he makes Briana a promise to do better. It was a good meeting after Cheyenne left. I'm just going to call her Coach Cheyenne because I'm not sure why they call her Coach B. So I'm going to call her Coach Cheyenne. After Coach Cheyenne left, Devon asked Briana, how do you feel? Do you feel like it was a good meeting? And she said, yes, absolutely. She felt like it was a good meeting. After that, it's the next day, and the group, they are going to do this little activity day. The producers tell the group to wear exercise clothes, but if it's something that you really like, don't wear it. Wear exercise clothes that if they were to get ruined, it would be okay. So they get in vans and they head out, and they go to this field that has this big, long, inflatable ninja course, and it looks so cool. And they pull up. Everybody gets out, and then Corey comes out from around the inflatable. Cheyenne's baby daddy, Corey. And he's like, you guys thought you were going to have a family reunion without me? He's like, nah. So he tells them, Corey, his day job is the challenge. So he does challenges where he has to, it's physical. They have to do these things to where just the average Joe is not going to be able to complete it. But it wasn't anything like that. They had a ninja course that was an inflatable ninja course. Very long. They had to run through it, climb up slides, go down slides, go through all the little things. Anyways, so they pick teams. They have 2 teams. Now, Amber is sunburnt, so she had to sit out of the obstacle course. And I was thinking, when after they picked the teams, and when Amber told Corey, she's like, hey, I'm gonna have to sit this one out, and he says, yeah, I heard you had a sunburn. My mind just instantly thought, I bet he thinks, yeah, when we're on the challenge, we compete with sunburns, we compete with blisters on our feet. It's just kind of a part of it. So I wonder if Corey's kind of looking around, watching them, thinking, ooh, you guys are weaklings, you know, because it's his day job to do some of the most like strenuous, like physically strenuous activities, while these cats, they were dying going through this inflatable ninja course, which I'm not gonna lie, I probably would too. So it's not my day job to be on something like the challenge, you know what I mean? But it is for Corey. So anyways, they pick their teams, they start, and it looked like so much fun. It was so hilarious seeing everybody like take off and then struggle to get up the wall, and then to see them flying down the slide. And then Gary, Corey and Macy and Gary, they were all on a team together. And Gary, he says, he's like, this body was not made for this type of activity. You know, he's like, but I'm going to give it my best shot. And he did. Like when it was his turn, he like flew up in there, and he actually did really well. He did good, but he came out of the obstacle course with one of his shoes missing. He lost a shoe. And Brittany was like, he went in with 2 shoes and came out with 1. Like, if he's losing things in there, what am I going to lose? She acted like it was a magic trick. Gary went in there with 2 shoes and came out with 1. Yes, he did. Yes, he did. He probably didn't have his shoes laced up that great. Don't worry about losing anything in there. I mean, all the girls' clothes were pretty tight anyway. They had, like, the tops that your boobs were popping out of. Speaking of Briana, her boobs popped out. Thankfully, she was able to cover them up. Now, because Amber set out, one team had to pick one person to go twice. Either one person was going to have to sit out of the other team, or one person was going to have to go twice. So Briana was like, I'm going to be a team player, and I'm going to go twice. So she did. And the first time she went, she did pretty good, but it was obvious that it was tough for her and she was struggling. When she come off the ninja course at the end, she almost like kind of fell over for a second, like almost tripped. And then as she's like running back, her boobs are just like trying to come out. She's having to hold herself. And then after she competes the first time, she sits down and she's like, oh my gosh, I'm not made for this. I shouldn't have volunteered to go twice. Oh my goodness. So it comes down to where Briana, she is going her last time. They're ahead. Her team is ahead. And when she takes off running and she gets on it, Ashley from the other team is like halfway through. Well, Ashley competes, comes off, and then Bar is to go. But Briana has like, she's like, you know, halfway through it as when Bar comes. But because she's like so exhausted, Bar is able to pass her up right there at the end. When Briana comes out and she's running at the tail end, she's struggling. She went from running to walking, and she said her body just kind of gave out on her. She just couldn't run at that point. So Bar passed her up. The other team won, not Corey's team. And everybody seemed to be having a ball. But when Briana got back to where she could sit down, she sit down and it really hit her that she could not breathe. So she starts saying, I can't breathe. I can't breathe. And then she says, I shouldn't have went twice. And Brittany says, yeah, no crap. B-I-T-C-H. She's like, yeah, you definitely should have went twice. We're not cut out for this, you know, to go one time, let alone twice. But it becomes obvious to everyone, because at first everyone was just thinking like, not a big deal, she can't breathe. But it became obvious very quick that she was really struggling. They called a paramedic in. The paramedic is listening to her heartbeat. Her heart rate is elevated. They put her in a car where they turn the air conditioner on, and they start to leave with her. Her sister gets in the back seat, and her sister's in the back seat kind of with her arms up, like touching her sister on the shoulders, like, you're okay, you're going to be okay. Talk to me, talk to me. And Briana is talking in and out. You know, I can't breathe. Oh my God, I can't breathe. I can't breathe. And then she'll go out, and Brittany starts saying, you got to stay awake. You got to stay awake. And at one point, she just passes out, which was really scary, because I was like, oh my God, what could happen? Like, what could really happen here? She just passed out. So they pull over, they call for an ambulance, and the paramedic is standing in the doorway, and Brittany is in front of him with her hands like on Bree's face, saying, wake up, Bree, wake up, please wake up, you're scaring me, please wake up. And Briana is just like, she's not waking up. And at one point, it looked like her eyes were open, And Brittany said that the look in her eyes at that point was very scary. So maybe she just looked maybe lifeless behind her eyes. I don't know. But also there was points where she was just like, you know, her eyes closed, out of it. The ambulance came. They took her to the hospital because her heart rate was so elevated. They did an EKG on her. As she went to the hospital, everyone else finished up and they went back to the hotel. When they returned, though, everybody was kind of shocked that Briana wasn't there. That's what everybody thought, that Briana was just going back to the hotel to rest. So when they got back and she wasn't there, they're like, where's Bri? And they're like, she had to go to the hospital. So then everybody's like, oh, dang, this is serious. Corey was like, we did not mean for anybody to get hurt. I feel so bad. And then the next day, all the girls are sore. Everyone's like trying to, they're like stepping on each other's backs. They're like, you know, trying to massage everybody because everybody's sore from doing the challenge. Coach B wants to meet with the OG girls, Cheyenne, Macy, and Amber. They're going to do this exercise. So they're in this room and she tells them that they're going to confront issues that they got when they were younger. So what she does is she brings a huge photo out and sits it up on the stand. And this is a photo of young Macy. Like Macy at 16 and pregnant. And Macy stands up and she stands in front of the photo. And Coach B asks her, I said I was going to call her Coach Cheyenne, but Coach B, Cheyenne, whatever you guys hear from me. If I'm saying Cheyenne and I'm referencing Coach B, I'll say Cheyenne the life coach because I don't want it to get confused that I'm talking about Cheyenne Floyd. So anyways, Coach B asks her, like, what does she see when she looks at baby Macy? And Macy says that she sees someone that's scared, but also someone that's brave. Coach B asks her to kind of elaborate on that, you know, like, what were you scared of? And what made you feel brave? And she said that she was afraid of not being able to accomplish anything because now she was 16 and pregnant. She also said she wasn't the type of girl that this would have happened to. She had hopes, she had dreams, and then for this to happen, it scared her, and she was afraid that she would not be able to do all the things that she dreamed of doing. But she was brave because she knew it gave her more drive. Like, okay, people are going to think that I can't do it, so I have to do it now. I have to show everyone that despite being 16 and pregnant, despite having a kid at such a young age, I can still follow my dreams. She also said that people's judgments didn't really matter to her other than like being the driving force behind her, you know, wanting to accomplish everything that she set out to accomplish. Coach B was like, okay, I want to free you from the scared Macy. You guys can probably hear my daughter in the background. She's playing. So she says, I want to free you from the scared Macy. I want to free you from the Macy that felt like you had something to prove. So she has Macy repeat after her, you know, I'm no longer scared, you know. And she does. And she asks Macy, how do you feel? And Macy says, better. And she's like, free. I feel better and I feel free. And I'm like, wow, that was simple. I've never been to counseling, but maybe I need to go because I got some baggage from young. And if it's that simple to just repeat after someone, I'm letting go of this baggage from this that happened to me at this, and it disappears. That's amazing. Coach B is amazing. But I was like, you guys, maybe I'm being so harsh, but when I watched that, I was like, what? You're free all of a sudden from all these things that you've been dealing with since 16 and pregnant that have held you back, you know, just because you repeated after someone that you didn't have to be held back anymore, that you don't have to be scared anymore. Surely somebody has told you in the past 12 years, you don't have to be scared. Why now, all of a sudden, when Coach B has you repeat something after her, are you free? I don't know. I felt like it was a bunch of, I don't know. I felt like it was nonsense. But if she really felt free, then that's awesome. Next is Cheyenne. They put the picture up of Cheyenne and they ask her, you know, what do you see? And she says, I see a sassy girl, but also a girl that's tough. Cheyenne was not a teen mom, but she was a young, like, she got pregnant at a young age. And, you know, she said, even though I wasn't 16 and pregnant, I almost thought that I was 16 and pregnant. My mom had to tell me often, grow up, Cheyenne, grow up, Cheyenne. So I guess she was a little immature, maybe, I don't know. Or maybe she was just stuck in the mindset that she was still a kid. You know, maybe, I don't know if she was 18 or 20. I honestly think she was 20 when she got pregnant with Ryder. But in her mind, she was still a kid. So she says, you know, she sees a sassy girl, but she sees someone that's tough, and that she felt worthless a lot, and she often needed reassurance from people that she was worthy. So Dr. B had Cheyenne repeat after her, and this is what she said. Little Shy, I see you. You no longer have to protect me. I am okay. So Cheyenne repeated that, and then she said, how do you feel? And Cheyenne was like, I feel good. And I'm like, so does Big Shy really feel like she don't need protection anymore from Little Shy? I don't know. I'm like, what is this, you guys? Like, I'm all for a good counseling, a good therapist, but I'm like, is this for real? You guys tell me your thoughts in the comment section. If I'm just being so, like this is real, like this can really, talking to a therapist and repeating those things can really do these things for you. Tell me that. Like I said, I've never been to a therapist. I've never been to counseling. So I don't know if it's really that powerful just to have someone say those things to you and then you repeat them back, if it really can help you that much. But I was almost giggling at it because I was like, are we serious here? Especially Amber's. Like, I was like, are we for real right now? Are we for real? Like, I was like mind blown. And Amber's was a sad one. Amber holds on to a lot of things. She had a traumatic childhood. Her sister passed away when she was young, you know. But for all of a sudden, her to repeat this little sentence, and then it's like, oh, yeah, I'm free. All that baggage is going out the window, nowhere to be found anymore. I was like, this cannot be happening. Anyways, Cheyenne did say that she now sees that she has a lot more in common with the other girls than she initially thought. Like, initially when she put on the show, she was like, I don't really have anything in common with the girls. But she said seeing, you know, how much they hold on to things that happened to them when they were smaller and the struggles, she's like, I actually do have a lot in common with them. Now, Amber, they put up a photo of Amber, and this photo was not when she had Leah or even the next 3 years after she had Leah. Because when Amber had Leah, she was heavier set, dark hair, and then she got skinny with dark hair. This photo was when she was with Matt Byer, blonde hair, a really pretty picture of Amber. But they put the picture up and they asked, who do you see? And Amber just looked kind of disgusted. And she was like, I don't know. I don't know who that is. So they had her stand up and they're like, why don't you know who this is? Like, explain this to me. And Amber says the person in that photo is like not her. And that person also has a fake smile. And she was like, for years, I just put on like I was happy, but I wasn't happy. That was a fake smile. And Coach B asked her, when did she lose her smile? And Amber said she lost her smile when she was about 5 years old when her baby sister died. And then Amber says, when I got out of jail, the first place I went was to my sister's grave. And Coach B said, to go find your smile? And Amber said, yes. But I'm like, I have been to, you know, graves before, and while I feel, you know, maybe a connection, or I can reminisce and I can laugh about things, remembering things that happened to that person that were funny, you know. When I go to my nephew's grave, I think about his laugh, and I think about his smile and how he snorted when he laughed, and I can smile. Yes, I can smile, you know. But I can also smile about those things when I'm home, and I think about it as well. So, but I'm like, did that solve it, or did she only find her smile while she was there? Or what if she went because, you know, she's been on drugs all these years, and it was to numb the pain of losing her baby sister? So maybe when she got out, she was clear-headed and she just wanted to go to kind of confront that pain that she had been trying to numb. Maybe it wasn't necessarily about a smile. I don't know. But I'm like, what, you know, what if it had nothing to do with a smile per se? Was she supposed to tell Dr. B no? Like when Dr. B was like, you went to go find your smile? No, that wasn't it. It wasn't to go find the smile. You know, like, I don't know. But I was like, that was just so confusing to me. She had Amber say this. Amber, sorry that you did not receive the love. It's not your fault. And so Amber repeated that. Amber said, Amber, sorry that you did not receive the love. It's not your fault. And then she said, Amber, how do you feel? And Amber said, I feel better. And Amber had just been crying, but all of a sudden she's like, I feel better. And I'm like, this woman's a genius. This woman is a genius. Like, one sentence is getting rid of all these people's baggage that they have carried for years. Even some of the most heartbreaking baggage, like, you know, the pain of losing their sister and how it affected them, and they didn't feel like they should live a life of happiness because their sister wasn't here, so they put on fake smiles. So now it's like all that is healed. Amber, sorry that you did not receive the love. It's not your fault. Great, I feel better. I don't know, you guys. Please tell me if I'm being a little too much in the comment section. Like, if this is possible, please let me know. Maybe I need to see a therapist. Coach B, I need to get in touch with Coach B. So everyone agrees they had a good meeting. They call it a night. Now, mind you, they just had dinner. So I guess during the dinner, she pulled the OGs away. But after dinner, they're going to have like this party where they're police. They're going to have this party where they're taking shots and they're playing beer pong and all this. So while everybody's kind of getting back to the party or whatever, we see Farrah arrive to the hotel. She gets out of the van. She goes and she gets her room to her key to her room. And in a confessional, she's like, hi, Farrah Abraham. You guys know me from Teen Mom. And I'm like, yeah, and other stuff. But that's all we're going to say about that until later. And then she says that, of course, it would make sense for her to come to the reunion, even though the actual Teen Mom reunions she has not been invited to in a couple years. But she said because the show would be boring if she was not invited. And I'm like, maybe so. Which the show, honestly, first episode was a good episode, you know. So I'm like, well, maybe it might be boring from here on out because we know there's going to be drama when Farrah arrives. We know Cheyenne tries to whoop up on Farrah, flipping tables, and was like, let the fun begin. I think that's what Cheyenne said. So after Farrah arrives, maybe in the next episode, Farrah obviously says something stupid to Cheyenne, and Cheyenne's not having it. So Cheyenne like throws a table over, and she's like, let the fun begin. And I'm like, the fun is her whipping your butt, Farrah. But anyways, she gets her room key. She does her little confessional where she says, this show would be so boring without me. And she goes to her room. Everybody else they're all now out back. They have the lights, you know, music, and they're playing beer pong, and everybody's getting drunk. And Briana, she gets out of the hospital. She had an EKG, but everything turned out to be fine. She was just dehydrated and overworked herself. So when she gets back to the hotel, she goes out back to just kind of let everybody know that she's back and that she's okay. And then she returns back to her room to rest. Everyone's drinking, partying, playing beer pong. And at one point, they all gather around a table. And they kind of talk about the day and how they all had fun. And they decide to make a toast for Briana. As they're like raising their glasses, Farrah comes around the corner and she's like, hey, everyone. And everyone looks. In a confessional, Ashley says, for like a year, there was construction across the street from my house that constantly interfered with my filming. And now there's a gym, so this happens all the time. Car alarms. Yeah. Anyways, so Ashley, in a confessional, she says that all of a sudden she felt a demonic presence. She's like, all of a sudden we're just having fun and I just feel this strong demonic presence. And then walks Farrah. And I'm like, oh my goodness. So Farrah comes around the corner. Everybody looks at her. Gary is so tickled. When Gary sees Farrah, he is just like so tickled. He is cutting up laughing. And Corey, like the look on Corey's face when he saw Farrah and as Farrah walked by, told me that Corey has watched Farrah's tape. Just the look on his face, I was like, oh, I know what he's thinking. He done watched that tape, and he is like scoping her out right now, and he knows every part of her body. The look on his face like told me he was excited. I think he got excited to see Farrah. But Gary seemed tickled to death, and not in that way, but Gary was just like, oh yeah, now there's really going to be some drama here. All the other girls was just like, what the heck? And that's where it ends, you guys. That's where, of course, left on like the biggest cliffhanger, Farrah returning. Also, be on the lookout for another video about Farrah Abraham. She is moving out of California because of, she says, you know, getting attacked by security guards and stuff. That's why she is moving, and she has lost all the dysfunction on one side. Yes, she says she lost all the dysfunction on one side of her body. So I'm going to do a video about that. So be on the lookout about that. But yeah, that's where it ended. Farrah returning, Gary being tickled to death, Corey just couldn't pick his jaw up off the ground quick enough, and everyone else like, what the heck. So next week, like I said, I think that's where Cheyenne and Farrah get into it. And I just can't wait to see what it is that Farrah says that makes Cheyenne so mad, because something got this girl riled up. She's flipping tables and stuff. She's about ready. Like, she's wanting to like body slam Farrah. She is mad. So that's what's coming up next week. I will do a recap on that as well. You guys leave me your thoughts in the comment section below. You know, Teen Mom, I feel like it's on the like, maybe it could get canceled, but I'm digging the reunion. I like bringing them all together to do things like this. I like it. So you guys let me know if you gave it a shot. What's your thoughts? Are you liking it? Is it something that you could continue watching? Or do you guys just think it's like a one season type of situation and call it a day? Leave me your thoughts in the comment section below. Make sure you give this video a huge thumbs up. Also, I'm trying so hard to get to 50,000 subscribers. So if you are not subscribed to the channel yet, please do me a huge favor and hit that subscribe button down below. And until next time, I'll see you guys later. Goodbye, everyone.